The following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being.
Hello and welcome to this Friday edition of Global Lens on News9 Live with me, Neha Khanna. Our focus continues to be on the escalating Israel-Hamas conflict. The Israel-Hamas war has now entered its 42nd day and intense fighting continues. The United Nations has called on Israel to grant it access to Gaza for an investigation into the claims and counterclaims that are being made about Al-Shifa, Gaza Strip's largest hospital. The agency has said the situation needs an independent international investigation because we have different narratives. Israel says Hamas is using the hospital for military purposes and runs a command and control center from the tunnels underneath the medical facility. The claim has been denied by Hamas and the hospital officials. Since it launched an operation at Al-Shifa 3 days ago, Israel says it has found the bodies of 2 hostages near the hospital, those of a 65-year-old woman who is a mother of 5 and a young Israeli soldier. Israel also says it has found military equipment and released footage of a tunnel shaft discovered in the close vicinity of Al-Shifa. Again, Hamas denies this and claims that it is the Israeli Defense Forces which planted these weapons at the hospital. Significantly, Israel has now dropped leaflets across parts of southern Gaza warning civilians to evacuate and head towards known shelters. A clear indication, many say, that Israel could soon expand its ground operation against Hamas from northern to southern Gaza. Remember, for weeks now, Israel was asking Gazans to evacuate the north and move to the south, claiming that the southern region would be safe for them amidst the relentless airstrikes coupled with the ground invasion. The question many are asking is, if they have to evacuate the south as well, then where do Gazans go? Meanwhile, Palestinians say the fighting around Al-Shifa hospital, which is now at the heart of the conflict, is evidence of Israel's complete disregard for civilian life in Gaza. Israel insists that the hospital doubles up as a Hamas command center and is yet another example of how the terror organization uses civilians as human shields. In a presentation to the media, Israeli military spokesman Daniel Hagari claimed that Hamas is launching rocket attacks and running operations from bunkers underneath the hospital building, which are linked to the network of tunnels that Hamas has dug underneath Gaza City. The White House has backed Israel's claim, saying Hamas is storing weapons and operating a command center from Al-Shifa. They have cited US intelligence. The allegations have been vehemently denied by Hamas and the hospital authorities. The World Health Organization chief has said Israel's military incursion into Al-Shifa is completely unacceptable and that hospitals should not be battlegrounds. Israel says it is still working to expose Hamas's tunnel infrastructure and will provide further evidence in the days to come. Meanwhile, the 2 telecom companies in Gaza have said all energy sources in the region have run out and therefore all their services in this part are down. Israel refuses to provide fuel to Gaza, saying Hamas could use it for military purposes. With communications out and in the absence of fuel, the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees has said it is impossible to coordinate distribution of humanitarian aid or even movement of trucks. They say if the fuel does not come in, people will start to die because of the lack of fuel. We don't know exactly from when, but it will be sooner rather than later. According to the Gazan health authorities, at least 11,500 Palestinians have been killed in the Israeli offensive. At least 4,600 of them were children and more than 3,100 were women, according to them. In an interview to CBS News in the US, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said, and I quote, "We'll try to finish the job with minimal civilian casualties. That's what we're trying to do. Minimal civilian casualties. But unfortunately, we're not successful." Israel launched an all-out attack on Hamas in Gaza following the 7th October massacre, when rampaging Hamas terrorists brutally killed at least 1,200 Israelis and kidnapped almost 250 people and are currently holding them hostage in Gaza. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has called on Israel to take urgent action to stop the violence by Israeli settlers against Palestinians in the West Bank.
The army forces found underground shaft inside Al-Shifa hospital. The engineering forces destroyed the infrastructure. Also, we found in the hospital Hamas vehicle that was ready to be part of the October 7th attack, but did not go on the road, and inside it, huge amount of arms.
First of all, we are not targeting hospitals. Hamas has placed command and control centers under the hospitals. And from there, they are shooting and killing our citizens. So we have the right to defend ourselves. So they have the right to go into everywhere they have missiles. They have missiles in living rooms. They have terror machines in all over the civilian premises. So what we do, we alert everybody in advance according to the rules of international humanitarian law. And we send millions of leaflets and millions of phone calls we are doing. And we're sending millions of text messages. And we are telling the people in the war zone, please leave your premise so that we can go in and take all this infrastructure from your home. Some of them, in my mind, were accomplices, but some not. I agree. There are many civilians in Gaza who are innocent and not involved. But because this place was taken over, we have to remove that. In the hospitals, what we are doing is, God forbid, we are making sure that none of the patients, the doctors or the crew or the operations are even stopped. On the contrary, we brought in to the Shifa hospital a lot of equipment and food and fuel and whatever is necessary to operate the hospital. But underneath, in the cellar, in the basement, there is a war machine with missiles, with weapons, with an entire command and control. From there, they sent this barbaric terrorists to go into Israel. From there, they brought the hijacked and the abducted civilians from Israel into those premises. So that's what we do.
भारत ने 7 अक्टूबर को इजराइल में हुए जघन्य आतंकी हमले की निंदा की है। हमने रिस्ट्रेंट के साथ ही डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी पर भी जोर दिया है। इजराइल और हमास के कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में सिविलियंस की मौत की हम कठोर निंदा करते हैं। राष्ट्रपति महमूद अब्बास जी से बात कर हमने फिलिस्तीन के लोगों के लिए मानवीय सहायता भी भेजी है।
Active conversations with the government of Israel about ensuring that civilians can be safe from harm. We obviously saw the step that they took with respect to Khan Yunis. They originally told people to move from the north to the south. We have been in conversation with them to impress upon them that as they continue to look at expanded military operations or ground operations in other ways, in other parts of Gaza, they need to ensure that they are safe, that there are humanitarian corridors for civilians. There's protection for civilians. There are human pauses so civilians can get themselves out of harm's way, and that we can get humanitarian assistance into them, and that there are ultimately places that they can be safe from harm. That is an active, ongoing conversation between our government and the government of Israel. So we are aware of reports that there are American citizens in the West Bank who are unable to transit through Israel as they are allowed to do under the requirements of the visa waiver program. We have expressed concerns about that to the government of Israel. I won't get into full details of our private diplomatic conversations, but we expect Israel to address those concerns. We expect them to be in full compliance with the visa waiver program, and there are remedial measures that are available to us if they are not.